Holla holla, it's your boy George Billionaire. Super excited to be back in the studio. And today, an amazing topic we're going to be talking about. Your mind is a garden. Everybody's mind is a garden. And what you put in that garden, your thoughts are seeds. And those seeds will either become flowers or seeds. Make sure you tune in and you watch to the end of this video, as you are constantly going to be provoked, inspired, and equipped. And as always, our main purpose on the show is to cause you to act, because knowledge without action is at mostly doing nothing about your life. The more you learn, the more you earn, and only those who earn are those who apply and take action with the wisdom that they got. So as we go on to today, take out your notebook, your journal. Don't just write on a piece of paper. Make sure you put it in your subconscious self and write some deliberate action steps you're going to take that are going to transform your life. This is your boy, George Billionaire. Make sure you register for the GB Mentorship Masterclass happening every single month. And a call out to all students and people running businesses. Make sure you subscribe to this channel and consistently get updates about the things that we are doing with the GB Mentorship, the GB Academy, and the GB Masterclass at home. It's your boy. Let's go.
0719 104 is the WhatsApp number to get in touch with myself and George Billionaire in studio, because you know every Monday Hustle Hard is the program to be listening to between 12 and 1 o'clock. George is in the building. Nigel is in the building, although they're in the background. Tinashe is in the building, in the background also. Like so many cameras in studio. Me, when I see cameras like this, I don't know. You know, I start to shine. George, how are you doing?
Holla holla.
It's your boy.
It's your boy, George Billionaire, in studio today with Becky. It's been a minute, Becky, and it's good to be back in studio.
Good to be here. We missed you last week.
Weeks we've been sending some audios to you know, some time challenges and some busy schedules. But as always on Hustle Hard, we never ever disappoint the pulsers by skipping a show. And it's amazing, Becky. We've been doing this for a year, going on 7-8 months.
Dude, you're counting.
Yeah, and it's amazing that, you know, the pulsers are being provoked, inspired, and equipped. One of the greatest things, Becky, for me, especially when I walk in the streets and there are elderly people, my mom, you know, my dad's age, young people, university graduates saying, wow, we listened to the show. I told you about the army guys who actually sit down and actually listen to this. So big shout out to everybody who tunes in every single Monday to this amazing show, which our main purpose on this show is to change people's mindsets, to teach people some of the experiences and the lessons that I've learned in life, so that people can go on this journey called life with a little more knowledge, wisdom, and advice from somebody who has done a little and accomplished a little, and hoping that people can actually become better and be ultimately what God purposed them to be. Absolutely. So it's great to get that feedback. Please, if you see me, please.
It feels good. I love they don't know. It actually feels good. When I was away, this is me at the Birmingham Mall. I think it's called the Bullring Mall. We went to the Bullring Mall. Yo, that mall is huge. I'm in one of the department stores. I forgot which one it was, but I'm in one of them, and this lady runs up to me, and I'm thinking, not in the UK. It is a lie. Yeah. This lady runs up to me, literally. I was with my friend Bridget Ndanga.
Yeah.
This lady runs up to me and she says, it's you. I'm like, yeah, hi. So I wasn't too sure to, and the fana needs or whatever.
Yeah.
But she says, it's you, Becky, Cappy Talk. And I was like, yeah. And normally people will bring other, you know, events or programs linked to my name. Yeah. But they linked it with Cappy Talk. And then she said, Hustle Hard with George. I don't miss a Monday. I'm like, get out of here.
All the way.
She's like online ever
Wow.
since that program started.
Wow.
I've been listening to it, and even here in the UK, I take what you are saying. So she says when she's done with her shift, she looks for other things to do. She's into decor.
Wow. Wow.
And I was like, what? She's like, yes. George says, I'm not saying quit your job. I'm just saying, when you are done with what God has put you in that office to do, what else
Can you
do? You know, I couldn't wait to come back and be like, yo, George.
imagine that all the way?
I was shocked. I was like, what?
Yeah.
But she was like spot on. She was like spot on. So yes, the message is going around. People are learning what this program really is all about. Because I remember at the onset, people were like, yeah, we all can't be. And now they're like, how can we?
Yeah.
How can we? Last week we were talking about learning from your failures and growing from them and not beating yourself up if you don't get the things that you want to do or that you want to get. Can you just recap that one for us before we get into today's topic?
So, lessons from my failures, I gave quite a couple of them. And I think one of the most important aspects that people need to realize, I failed my O levels. I was deemed, in the class I was in, the NHS, the No Hope Squad. People's opinions defined what they thought were failures to me. But what happens in this thing called life, everything that happens to people happens for a reason. And it's how you then take up what happens to you, what character it then builds up in you, and what you then decide to do with that thing that you call a failure, that will then determine what you're supposed to be in life. So for me, there's so many failures, from my O levels to the phone shop that I built, which was demolished. I learned, of course, it's important, seek council's approval. From my O levels, I learned sports is good, but I also need some form of education, and I had to repeat. And from that, a lot of things happened. That's how I became a hustler, because that's the time I left the school I was at, and I went to learn in town at a college, and I was exposed to the streets of Harare and Zimex Mall and all of that. So whatever is happening to you in life, always look at the learning that you are getting from that experience. So you may have failed, your teachers may say you won't make it, your uncles, aunt, husband will tell you, no, this will not work. But ultimately, what are you learning from the experience, and more so, what are you doing? Because if I had listened to my father, who told me, George, stay at work, don't resign and start Pro Air conditioning, I wouldn't be here on the show or doing the things that I'm doing today. So in life, we need to experience more failures, because like I said last week, failure is actually a bridge to success. And we've abbreviated the word fail as first attempt in learning. So when people say you have failed, like the example we gave about Thomas Edison, he said, I did not fail 999 times or 1,000 times. I learned how not to make a light bulb. So when people call you a failure, understand that you are a work in progress and you are studying on your craft. And don't ever let people's opinions, I'll repeat that, people's opinions define where you end up. The only person responsible for where you end up in this life is nobody else but you. It's what you do with the lessons that you have learned, the experiences. In life, that's why they say experience is the best teacher, because experience teaches, failure teachers. So everybody who became great, successful, a musician, an artist, a businessman, trust you me, they have fell down many times. But the secret, they didn't stay down when they fell down. They dusted themselves back up with more enthusiasm and kept running towards that thing that they love to do. And with me, Becky, with Pro Air, there are many times I have fell down. There's so many people who said, George, you won't make it. You are not educated enough to run an air conditioning company. But because of my sheer determination and putting earbuds on those naysayers, those people who want to equate my life as a failure because their own lack of accomplishing certain goals, I decided kuramba ndakashingirira on that thing, and that is what's led me to where I am. So don't let people, it's unfortunate in the world we live, people want to judge a fish on its ability to climb a tree when a fish was meant to do specific things.
Come on.
So in life, we live different lives. My father lived his life. To the listener who's listening, your husband, your uncle, they live different lives. And you have to have shared determination on fulfilling that God-ordained purpose and mandate inside you. Becky, you're an amazing MC. You're an amazing mentor. You're an amazing business person. That's what God ordained in you.
Come on.
Nobody else can change that in you.
Mm-hmm.
So let's not try and compare each other's lives. Let's not try and live our lives as parents, especially. These days, parents want their kids to become lawyers because they were lawyers. Let's not do that. Let's let the gift in a child or in an individual come out. Be that supporting pillar in that person's life to say, you know what? My dad, my mom, my husband, my wife supported me in whatever I wanted to do. And that's what led me to succeed. So let's not let people's opinions hinder our failures. And let's live and constantly learn.
Is that the message that you teach your children also? Because every message has got like an age-appropriate way of saying it. There's a parent who's like, yo, my kid keeps failing at certain things, but he's so determined or she's so determined at coming out tops. Currently, all the exam classes have gone back to school. They're recapping on what they learned first term, second term, and preparing for exam term. Because once the term comes, just a few weeks and then straight into exams. What's that way a parent can speak to their child in terms of, listen, this is what life is like. You are going to fail at some things, you're going to succeed at some things, but I need you to know this one thing.
As parents out there, I encourage parents, especially when you see red flags such as results which you did not deem to expect when the report came, and actually sit down and find out what went wrong. You may find that maybe there's a parent who wants their son or daughter to be great in swimming or soccer, and they're pushing their child on the sporting fraternity, but they're not giving that child as much on the academic side. So it's important as parents to balance things out. I believe that once kids openly come to you and they tell you, Dad, I was a bit tied up with sport, I need to give in more time, I need to go for extra lessons, take heed of that, because it's important to see that. And I believe, every kid who's out there, especially, O levels and A levels, they're important. And there's so many people who we hear, hi, I'm a high school dropout. That's different. I think when we're talking about university stage, it's important to get our ordinary level, our A level, but more so have direct focus on what we want to do straight after. So when reports come, parents, let's be very hearing to our child's needs. Let's not shout in independent and this, that. Those parents should bring out their reports rather than
Proof.
saying, but let's be supportive of our kids. There's so much in a child, especially if they're spoken to and assisted. Some parents need to take their
spoken
kids.
to and assisted, not just spoken to.
Some children need extra lessons. Give it to them. Don't say, hey, I pay fees in this. Please give your children what they need for them to then pass their ordinary level and their A levels. So be a hearing parent. Don't be an autocratic parent and try and dictate like you were raised at the time you were raised, because it was autocratic. Be that listening parent so that your kids can easily and freely come to you and seek help rather than be scared of you because of the marks that they got.
Wonderful. George Billionaire in studio for Hustle Hard. And we touch on everything here. We even gave you like some family tips. Thank us. All right, George, what are we talking about today on Hustle Hard?
Right, your garden. Today is going to be an amazing session. Your mind is a garden and your thoughts are seeds. If you water them, you either get flowers or seeds. Right. Your mind is a garden. Saga, think about it, Becky. Your mind. What's in your mind? Do you have flowers? Do you have a crop? Or is your mind full of
Do you want me to answer that like right now?
Seeds, no, Becky,
Or
don't.
you're just
'cause,
like,
yeah,
yeah.
I'm just-
Otherwise, we'll spend the whole day here.
So you'll find, I love in Romans 12 verse 2, be conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. And your mind is the most important asset that a human being has, because your mind determines where you go and ultimately as a human being where you end up. Now, whether your mind has seeds or weeds is dependent on you, the person who is feeding your mind with those things. And here on Hustle Hard, the seeds we've given you is that entrepreneurship is possible. Having a side hustle is possible. But then that's an idea given to you. Either you can decide to plant it, or you can just keep it in your hand and never use it, or you can actually put it as a thought in your mind and say, but yes, just like our listener in the UK who decided to have a hustle on the side after she finishes work late after work. So it's important that we understand that our mind is so important and we need to get rid of seeds. Now, when you look at my life and where I came from, Becky, one of the things that I decided to get very early on in life was knowledge and wisdom from people, right? And this knowledge were seeds into my mind, which made me begin to see that, wait a minute, entrepreneurship is possible. And to many people, remember when we began the show, people were like, everybody cannot, George, Becky, Mukuti Nyebera, you cannot. But trust you me, like I've said and I'll say again, when artificial intelligence comes, when a company is going to be sized down, when all these things happen, economic hardships, and a lot happens and you have to lose your job, guess what's going to happen? These seeds now, you're going to try and put water into them to try and grow them. But imagine the amount of time you would have lost in doing the things that you could have done when you were told on Hustle Hard by Becky and George. So your mind should be able to cultivate these seeds to grow them into something. You are only a sum total result. Becky K, this is important. Where you are today is the sum total result of the information you know or you don't know. Where you are today, the things either you know or you don't know.
That have placed me in this very position.
Right. So the people who've been listening to us for the year plus that we've been here have either been provoked, inspired, and equipped. But the difference between people who just hear us and the people who take action are tangible results, right? So there are some people who don't actually get this type of information that we're giving here. And you can imagine where their lives are today, because what they grew up knowing is what they know. They will remain on the job, which a lot of people are provoked by that saying, "Could having a job will just leave you just over broke." You know, I love a very good example in this country. We've got a president and we're coming from the SADC summit, right?
Yeah.
He is a president of a country, but the president being a president, the president has a farm, right? The president has other things he does, right? If he is no longer the president today, what is he going to do after his presidency? To you who's listening to us, who has a job, what are you going to do when your job is terminated?
So last week in your audios, you mentioned that aspect, bringing it back into cognizance that listen, when I mentioned about job, this is me trying to hit it into your head until you know that job can finish today, tomorrow, whenever. What is it that you're going to do and fall back on? So one of the pulsers sends me a message and says, "Hi Becky, I don't know, let me just find out from you, how do you feel when George says job is just over broke and you have a job at Capital?" And I'm like, I feel nothing.
And a lot of people, Becky, especially about you, they just think they don't know. Let me tell the listeners
I was like, I feel nothing.
Becky is only at Capital between 12 and 3. So that's not Becky's only source of income. Becky does MCing. Becky does consultancy. Becky has a mentorship program. Becky does a lot of things. Becky, she was in the UK. She wasn't there with what you think. So understand that job should be there to deliberately provoke those who need to be provoked. if you see yourself questioning, George, why are you trying to insult us who have a job? I'm not trying to insult you, because once upon a time I was there, and I then began a journey less traveled, and it's led me to where I am today.
Right.
So,
and people must also know it's not only aircons that you are into. You're into other stuff. So today, if you decide Pro Air, thanks, let me hand it over to someone else.
True.
You still have other things,
sources of income.
Yes, other sources of income, and this is what you are teaching people. I almost said trying, because you're actually doing it, and this is what you are teaching people. This is what you're teaching the listeners, that yes, you've got that pay slip that comes at the end of the month. You've got that guaranteed $2,000-$3,000 or $500, but it can be more.
True.
It can be multiplied. You can, and the focus has always been on, I want to make a lot of money. But I think it was one of the I forgot which topic it was that we spoke about, and you were like, start small.
True.
You don't have to be making thousands of dollars. You can make $300 a month. The 300 that you didn't have
at the beginning.
So that aspect of just over broke, it needs to hit home, because you are just over broke. That last $5 by no pera, and I'll speak of the smallest denominator in terms of the money, because $2, $1, can't really do much. But when you've got that $5 left, then you start scratching your head and you're like, right,
what should I do?
What should I do now? Then you know you are just
and imagine,
over broke.
It's holiday season now. School's about to open, and trust you me, if your boss delays payment of your salary, trust you me, without any other additional income that's happening, it's going to be a serious disaster that's going to hit home with the rentals, with the school fees and everything. So people need to understand our message is, yes, deliberately to provoke you, to make you open up your mind. Because even for me to start Pro Air conditioning, I was surrounded by seeds and people who gave me ideas, who made me feel very uncomfortable. And on this program, our purpose here is to say, listen, I know you are where you are. You may think you're comfortable, but in the comfort zone, there's nothing that grows. And once you decide to actually take action in certain things before the time is too late, you can actually get some additional source of income. Right. This is our message that's always been here, which we're trying to encourage, and it doesn't matter at what age. It's important to understand that one of my very first businesses back selling freezers back in Glenora, it was a little side hustle, and it got me to understand financial independence at a young age. And ever since then, it's led me to where I am today. But others have not even, they cannot talk about having started to sell anything small for them to start now.
Right.
So it's important to encourage your kids. Just encourage yourself to start. Most of the time, especially in a country like Zimbabwe, just like any other country in the world, there are so many problems. What I love about Zimbabwe, we've got plenty problems like any other country. Therefore, why not be a solution to the many problems that are there in the world? Becky, you decided to see a niche where when people host events, right? Sometimes I've been to weddings and occasions where the MC just puts things off, right? But Becky is one of the most preferred MCs, not only in Zimbabwe, but all over. And guess what? That you chose a specific niche that you mastered, and that's now paying you. I chose a specific niche as well. When I saw, wait, climate change is upon us. People are driving with their windows open. Why don't I start an air conditioning company? There were a couple then, there are a lot more now. But trust you me, now Pro Air is one of the most preferred doing air conditioning installations in people's houses, offices, schools, everywhere.
So what did you do different with the seed that you
I saw an opportunity, and this is what I ask people to see. See an opportunity and seize it. Start. That's the most important thing. But majority of people, remember abbreviation of poor, Becky. People will remain poor because in their mindset, vakakura vachinzi enda kuchikoro, unodzidza, unoshandira vamwe vanhu, wane masters. That's the mindset we grew up with. Go to school, education, and work for somebody else. But things have changed, and we need to get to that place that your mind is a garden, and you can do whatever you want to become. I love the word of God. I constantly refer to it. According to your faith, it shall be done unto you, right? As a man thinketh in his heart, so shall he be. So if you see yourself as an employee, as JOB, if you have the JOB anointing for life, that's great. Rambor ku JOB.
Just say.
But I can promise you that you will not have or accomplish what others who decided to have a side hustle on top of their JOB. There's nothing wrong with the JOB. I keep saying it, kuti ini ndakatomboshandao for a good 6 years of my life. But according to what you want on this planet called Earth, and what you do with the information you have, is what determines who you are. I call myself George Billionaire, right? That's my own self-perception of who I am. Remember, we spoke about the SFP.
Yeah.
In my mind,
You've
you cannot
prophesied this thing to
convince me who
Otherwise.
I am. So if you define yourself as just that person who gets a salary for 20, 30 years of your life, and that's your life, it's according to you. I've told you the story about going to heaven and being shown what you could have been. You don't want to replay that video and wish, I heard Becky and George, they were trying to provoke me to jump off ship, but I didn't. So all these are seeds, all these are ideas, but people will pass off opportunities regularly because their mindset was programmed from earlier. You know, one of the things about our educational system, Becky, it is messed up in such a way that it does not create entrepreneurs. Most people went to school to work for other people. People did not see, there was no entrepreneurship in our time, none at all. And even in some institutions now, there's no that. You need to understand cumulonimbus, the parts of a grasshopper, and this, that, and the other. But what does that help you in life?
Who's using it today? Dissect the frogs.
Imagine.
And it's even like a doctor or something.
But you see, but imagine reading self-help books. Imagine, you know, I was privileged this weekend to be at the Southern African Youth Development Summit that was happening.
Yeah.
And it's amazing to hear different ideas from people from other continents. And I connected deliberately with those people because I was invited, I was a guest speaker, but I went there and I also learned myself. So my mind also got seeds of ideas to say, wait a minute, there's opportunities in Botswana. I met somebody who was telling me, no, in Zambia, come, we can do this, that, and the other. So those ideas come. But then to everybody, an idea has come. People have complimented you. Becky, back in the day, you always did your makeup so well that it prompted you to actually become, a lot of people don't know, that you were once upon a time a makeup artist.
A very
right?
good one.
Because people complimented you in that.
Yeah.
So on your side hustle, Junrono compliment was also something that you need to see. But if you constantly see yourself as somebody who is just a worker, and your mindset is not changed on what you actually can be, which is becoming great, which is becoming somebody who provides a product or a service.
Right.
Becky, can you imagine if I had not started what I am doing today? There wouldn't be Pro Air, there wouldn't be air cons, there wouldn't be, this week we had portable air cons gone all over.
Yeah.
That product or service would have not gone out. Had I not started, that wouldn't be in existence.
So now you've just taken us from, you've received a seed, which was a good word. You probably saw a businessman or woman doing something that you're like, yo, I would really like to do this. Maybe you managed to speak to them, maybe you managed to read a self-help book, or you took yourself to school. You cultivated that seed, you watered it, and now it's this big flower or this big plant. Now on the other end, there is a weed. Someone received the same seed.
True.
Of progressiveness, of you can do this, but they did something different with it. What happens to the seed and then it turning into a weed, or like weeds around the seed?
You know, Becky, so I always refer to the Bible because I think every self-help book that was ever written are context from the Bible. It talks about a seed that fell on fertile soil, another one rocky grounds, another one on thorns. And it's also very important, especially I've highlighted this aspect about association, right? Now, where you are today, believe it or not, we've spoken about it before on the power of association. The information you get and what you do with it, right, is defined by the people you kind of hang around as well. So the people who are listening to the show right now, they're gonna be like, wow, I heard something from Becky and George on Hustle Hard. Wow, I'm so inspired. vanobva vangonzi entrepreneurship
Typical.
siyana nazvo hazvishandi izvi isiya ivava ndo vakatanga. But guess what, that person is killing your seed, just like that seed that fell in thorny places. So it's important when you get something, and we've said it so many times here, your lack of acting. Two types of people on this planet, baby. There are people who make excuses, and there are people who take action. So munhu akaudzwa a word today, it was church yesterday, how many people said, the word was powerful, it was amazing, it was transforming. On Hustle Hard today, you're going to be like, wow, those were nuggets, that's wisdom, I feel like I need to start. But lack of taking action when you are given knowledge is the worst thing. There's a quote that says, knowledge without action is the worst thing that you can have in life. So imagine, people are getting knowledge from school, people are getting knowledge from wherever, people are reading self-help books, Becky, but the lack of taking deliberate action in doing something with what you've received then makes people remain where they are. Ndo panouya fear, ndo panouya people's opinions, ndo panouya shamwari dzekuti hazvimbofe zvakashanda, leave it alone. It's for those type of people. And guess what that does? That blows off the flame in your candle, that chokes your idea, and it's never ever given birth to. And then as people grow older, like we said earlier, people suffer from the worst thing on planet Earth called regret. And it's going to come. All these audios, Becky, that we are on the program right now, people 5-10 years now, once they don't have the job they were relying on, they were happy with the company car, with the fuel, with the children being paid fees, and they were so comfortable. Now reality sinks in. What are they going to do? That's when they're going to be like, but these guys spoke sense. These guys actually were onto something. And my plea to people is that take action. It's important for you to take action, because lack of taking action is going to be one of the greatest challenges that people are going to face in life. We all have the same 24 hours in a day. We all are staying in the countries we are staying in. I love Zimbabwe because you know what? As much as people say things are not okay, why are so many people developing? Go around. Besides the roads, the lights, the infrastructure development, look at the various companies out there. They are flourishing. If you see companies opening another branch, if you see malls being built, it means there is something good that is happening in that place. Therefore, if you're a person, stop making excuses. Rather, today, start taking action. Start utilizing those seeds in your mind and start cultivating them. Remove these weeds. You know, for me, I spoke about my dad the last time, and friends who were naysayers in my life.
Are those the weeds that we need to look out for?
Those are the
that
weeds.
are coming to choke our seeds.
So the weeds are fear, right? Are naysayers. Shamwari dziramba zvingoti siyana nazvo, it won't work. No, the country is not economically okay. There are so many people doing it. You don't have capital. You don't have the education. Those are weeds that you need to pull out. And go and hang out with people similar-minded, people who have done what you haven't done. Mentors. Those are the people to share your vision and your dream with. And then your mind will be transformed to saying, you know what? I can do all things. And people underestimate that specific verse of scripture. There's nothing, Becky, you and me and all the listeners cannot do. The only hindrance is yourself. If you think about it today, Becky, if you want to drive an aeroplane today and you spend the time and the hours, very soon you will be a pilot and you can achieve whatever you want. If you want to become an entrepreneur, if you give it time, dedication, and deliberate attention and no distraction to anything else, you will become whatever you want to become. But people, because they are so full of excuses, they are blaming everybody else. Their mind has great ideas, and everybody listening to me today has had a great idea. But either somebody or something has blown out that candle or choked your idea. And that is why when you go to meet God, you will be shown that this is the thing you were supposed to bring to life. You were supposed to have started Pro Air conditioning and put air conditioning units in all of the people's homes in Africa. But because you died with that dream, because you listened to naysayers, you were comfortable with your job, with your salary, because the company was taking care of you, you became complacent. You blamed the economy whilst your other peer mates were making it.
In that same economy.
And this is the thing with a lot of people today that has led people not to be where they're supposed to be.
9 minutes to 1 o'clock. Our questions are coming through. I'll start with this one from Magnificent Tello. All right. Anzi, how do you navigate during tough times? When at times things seem low, you have some burnout, stress, and depression when pushing your product. I'm waking up every day. I'm doing things that I'm supposed to do that day. But my body, mind, mentally and physically exhausted, especially last week. Sometimes I feel like giving up, but I cannot. It's not an option. It's because I am a startup founder. What do I do?
Wow. That reminds me of many years back in 2013 with ProAir, when we went through a time where we did aggressive marketing. We went out, we gave business cards, but sales weren't coming through. And this is what happens when you establish something called a brand or you start as an entrepreneur. What is going to make a lot of people become great with time is perseverance, is dedication, is the not giving up attitude. And the greatest temptation with majority of people, I gave this example before. For me, I never went to university. I did not have a plan B. I had to start that business and I had to make it work because I just had twins. And what I'm trying to say to my brother or sister who asked this question, if it's just this week or this month or whatever season you're going through, understand, tough times never last, but tough people do. And when you're trying to build a brand or a product, make sure you hang in there. The right time will come, but then you know what? It will never come when you give up. The worst thing any human being can ever do in life is to give up. If you believe in that thing, yes, it may seem bad. You know what? If it means you have to get rid of some of the workers and you remain the one-man band, do that to minimize your cost for a season. But don't stop being aggressive. Don't stop talking about your brand and your product. Don't slow down on your social media so people know your brand. It's just going to take one order that's going to change your life. So keep on keeping on. When you fall down, don't stay down. Dust yourself up, especially when you've chose this journey. And I can tell you it's not an easy journey, but it is one of the most rewarding journeys when it begins to pay you. A tree, zonaka fruit, but the time you have to wait, uti fruit iyo izosvika. So it's the same thing with you. Whatever you're going through, it's just a season. Keep watering that plant, keep watering that business. Don't give up on it. And surround yourself with people who've been through that, and they can give you some good, affirmations to keep going. And I can guarantee you will make it.
I think you just answered Erica. Erica says, hi George, hi Becky. Thank you for today's message. Actually, my messages in your essay are very helpful. I started a business about 2 years ago. Things were going okay until they were not. And I decided to go back to work but still keep the business running. Salary yandaiwana kubasa kwandakawana ndo yandaisa ku business kuti zvinhu zvifambe, because things were now looking bad. I had to take care of my children because I'm a single parent. Now both kubasa and business are doing well. Should I keep both or should I do one? Yay!
Wow, that's a great question.
Yay!
And
bearing in mind, she was working. She probably quit her job. Started this business two or so years ago. Things are going. Then they go, oh no, we're not going anymore. And she felt like, yo, my kids.
Yeah.
That's reality there.
You have to do what you have to do.
And then she says, let me go back to it. Luckily, she found a job, because not many people after they leave, is it easy for them to go back. So she finds another job, or she finds a job, and then she went back to the old one or whatever. But anyway, she finds a job. Now it's going well. She's like, now, do I stay on the job? Do I go back into the business? Do I keep both? Do I drop one?
So the key word here is financial intelligence. Now, if she audits her own business that she's running right now on the side, and she looks at what net profit she's making, she has to be able to make a constant revenue that's coming in over months. before she decides to do that. The worst thing, like I'm saying, if she's into blankets, for example, when winter finishes, the blanket sales are going to go down. Therefore, she's going to be in trouble. So whatever side hustle she is doing, she needs to do a very intelligent decision after analyzing her sales over the months and seeing whether it's worth it for her to do that. For me, I would say, depending if she's making good profits, something that you give in 100% of your time, definitely once it's giving in good money, it would be a good idea to then get off it. But the key word is financial intelligence. Look at your sales for the months that have happened, not your last 2 months. Try and look for however long. I never encourage people to jump off ship, because trust me, you'll end up back where you were, like she did before. And the other thing that's important, have a mentor. People underestimate this mentorship thing. You have to have a mentor in business. If you're going to think you can do all things by yourself, trust me, you won't, and you'll keep hitting into things that you could have avoided, where you give an advice into. Now, so the question she's asking now is a question I used to ask my mentor when I got a certain amount of money.
If she had a mentor.
If she had a mentor, she wouldn't be...
Because this one sounds like she asks friends,
You see? And her friends will tell her, no, leave it if it's giving you $1,000. But they don't understand the $1,000 is just the last 2 months. Before, it was $300 and $100. So when she leaves work, that $1,000 was the highest sale she's ever had. And then she's going back to 100. And then she's in trouble with her kids again. So she needs to be very financially intelligent.
Hence the mention of having a mentor.
It's important.
At what phase do you have a mentor? Before you start the business? When you start the business?
You know, like what we do at GB Mentorship now. I mean, we've got a program happening on the 7th of September.
Talk to us.
Where we're talking about how to establish, how to brand, and how to run a successful company. And this is open to entrepreneurs and want to be entrepreneurs. And some of these things will help people to become better because they now have the knowledge. The word of God says, my people perish because havana ruzivo in specific things that have to do with business. So don't ask a street vendor whether you should open another branch in Blawayo, because that guy does not even have a branch because he's in the street. Ask somebody who has done what you want to do on how to do that, and then they can advise you to know, please keep selling in your car for now. Having an office is too expensive. Let's grow gradually until we're able to then meet the overheads, the cost of the shop, the salaries and all this. But for now, stay true to where you are. So it's important for anybody to have a mentor, not only those in business. Even you, Becky, I can guarantee you, for you to be the amazing MC you are, you looked up to somebody. You sat down with some great MCs, some great media personalities, and they gave you a couple of tips on how to be. So same it is with me. I am who I am because of the many mentors I have. So to anybody who thinks they can do it alone, remember this famous quote.
Come on.
No man is an island. We need each other to grow. If you want to go far, you have to have people around you. But if you want to do something by yourself, you're not going to go very far.
Anzi na mama Madison Junior Becky tinoda kutenda kuna George tiri kudzidza zvakanyanyisa tiri kubatsirwa nemasho toda kuona action. It's a few seconds until we get into the news. How do we get a hold of you, George? Where do we find you?
Right, so my numbers are 0712-840-840, and on all social media platforms it's George Billionaire. And like I said, we have a mentorship program happening. So all those who want to register, get in touch with that number, 712-840-840, and be a part of that life transforming event.
Hakuna namba yakadaro kusite mchete.
It's a pleasure to be around George Billionaire. Like we just finished our leadership class and we learned a lot today.
Mainly to be part of the GBA under Dr. George Billionaire Munenga. I'm happy for this move, and if you are there ready to join, please, you're not late. You need to join this program. It's really worth it, and it's helping us a lot. Thank you so much, Mr. George Billionaire and Mr. Munenga.